The case of the two 12-year-old girls accused of stabbing their friend multiple times to impress a fictitious internet boogeyman raises so many questions for the parents. How can they be sure that their children can truly separate reality from fantasy? What are the warning signs that children are confusing the two? Well, pardon me, but I've been 12 years old before, and even I knew at 12 years old that it was not right to try to kill your friends in the woods. So as far as they say, how can these girls tell right from wrong? Please, think back. All these adults that are saying this, think back. When you were 12 years old, you wouldn't have hung a dog by its tail. So why are you going to kill your friend in the woods because of somebody on the internet said so? Police said the girls told them that they attacked their friend on Saturday to win favor with Slenderman. He's a make-believe online character. The girls said they learned about him on a site called Creepypasta Wiki, and that site is filled with horror stories. Somehow, Slenderman says something about in order to enter his realm, you have to kill someone. So they wanted to kill their friend. So what happened was the three girls were friends. It wasn't even like they took their enemy out into the woods. The three girls were friends, and they had a sleepover. And so the two girls had been planning this for months, not just spur of the moment. They'd been planning it for months. So they planned that sleepover. They had the sleepover. They decided to take a walk in the woods. So they get their friend out into the woods, and they stabbed her 19 times. I think it come 1 millimeter of the blade going into her heart. So she is still alive, and she is in stable condition. They left her for dead in the woods. She was able to crawl out of the woods and onto a sidewalk where a bicyclist found her and was able to call 911 and get her to the hospital. The other two girls were found walking down an interstate with a bloody knife in one of their pocketbooks. The girl said it was her mom's old pocketbook. I don't know what that's got to do with anything. However, the two girls are being charged as adults and are both have a $500,000 bond. That's a $500,000 bond. And I say good for them. They're going to try to say, and I know this is what they're going to try to say because they're trying to use this in all these cases now. They're going to end up trying to say mental illness. These girls had a mental illness. I don't believe that. I believe that they're just mean-spirited girls. You know, or they're going to say, they're going to have somebody try to prove, they're going to show a diagram of a 12-year-old's brain and then an adult brain and say that the 12-year-old doesn't have the capability of making rational decisions like adults do because their brain has not fully developed yet. Now, when you were, again, like I said, when you were 12 years old, as was I, we knew the difference between beating up somebody and killing somebody. Ain't that right, Mr. Brooks? Yeah, that's right. So, the girls' names are in the paper. Their pictures have been in the paper. They are Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir. They're both 12 years old. The reason that their pictures are in the paper and their names are in the paper, he sees somebody out the bay window, is because they're both being tried as adults. They come from Wisconsin. They're being tried as adults. This, I'm not sure if they're going to carry a life sentence for this because the girl did live, or how they're going to do this. But they will try them as adults, so they should probably get quite a bit of time out of this. It's not normal behavior for a 12-year-old to think like this is irrational thinking. This is just irrational. A lot of people left the comments on the site, well, where were the parents? Come on now. Parents cannot be around their kids 24/7. Parents these days, both parents have to work. At 12 years old, certainly a child is old enough to be left alone while the parents work. But not every parent is going to think, well, I can't leave my 12-year-old alone because they might kill somebody. You know, and as my son pointed out this morning, and my son is in his 30s, but as he pointed out, a 12-year-old is only going to let you know what a 12-year-old wants you to know. A child will only let you know so much. You can't, the only way you're going to know everything that they're doing is if you're with them 24/7. You can't go to school with them. You can't go to the bathroom with them. You can't go spend the night at a friend's house with them. You can't stay in their room with them. You can't be with them when they're on the phone. Then they say, well, monitor what they watch on the internet. Well, if you monitored everything your child did on the internet, you would never have time. From the time you got off work to the time you went home, you'd be going through their phones, through the computer. That's no kind of life. That's no kind of life. Because 9 out of 10 children are not up to anything. Those are the ones that's going to feel like, well, you don't trust me. Why don't you trust me? And you can't say, well, this girl in Wisconsin killed a friend, so I got to watch everything you do because you might lose your mind and make an irrational decision. So, anyway, it's not the parents' fault. It's not the parents' fault. These parents are going to have a hard enough time watching their 12-year-old daughters go to jail. And certainly they'll probably be going to juvie hall until they're 18. Then they're going to be put in the prison system. So, yeah, they're going to be in there a while. And rightfully so. So what do you think about this? Do you think that a 12-year-old's brain is fully developed enough for them to know the difference between a fantasy game and taking their friends out in the wood and kill them? Or do you think that they should be forgiven and say, oh, well, they really didn't mean it. They was just playing an internet game. What do you think? Until next time, bye-bye.